All right, everyone. Welcome to the latest and greatest edition of Let's Talk AI, Conversational Voice Agents. This is our third meeting of this subgroup of the Decentralized AI Agent Alliance. Appreciate you guys joining us here on Tuesday. For today's agenda, we're going to quickly get to meet any new members, people that haven't been to this event before, talk a little about the purpose, and then get into the fun part of meeting some of the presenters. Joey's going to give us a sneak peek of Nova Echo 2.0. John Muldoon from Interflexon will talk about AI-powered role play for training purposes. And Sean Kerr's got some really cool ideas around how you can combine AI voice with robotics and wearables, and is building a golf caddy and has several other ideas for where this could be applied. And then beyond that, I want to, start a conversation with the members here and talk about, beyond having members showcase what they're doing, like, is there an opportunity for us to collaborate and work on some of these existing projects or form a new one that's related to the decentralized AI agent or builds upon, what other people have here that we can, collaborate together. So we'll have a little discussion about that. So who are new members? Please take yourself off mute. Give a little 30-second introduction about you, your company, the project, and what your interest is in voice AI.
This is my first meeting.
Hi, Dave.
So I know John. How you doing, John?
Good. How are you? Good.
I think I put this on my calendar because I saw it on John's LinkedIn or something.
Uh,
I'm an instructional designer. I live in Pennsylvania, central Pennsylvania. I've been doing instructional design for about 5, 6 years, and had to leave my job recently just my dad got sick and I wanted to take care of him. So now I'm going to get back into it, but I think I'm going to open my own business, starting to teach people how to use AI because it's pretty wide open market at the moment.
Awesome.
Seems like it's oversaturated, but I mean, I talk to dozens of people every day that, just don't have a clue how to use it. So I want to kind of combine experiential learning and team building exercises with using AI to teach the AI. And I've been doing a lot with ChatGPT's voice. Get a lot of my work done when I'm driving. But teaching people how to actually use the voice, I think, is a big thing. Probably not too far off from what John's doing. Maybe not as far along as John's been since he's been doing it for so long before we started using AI. But anyway, that's a little bit about me.
Cool. Thanks, Dave. Yeah,
yeah.
please feel free, you and anyone else, please drop your LinkedIn profile in here. There's an opportunity for us all to connect. And I'd love to reach out to you more and talk about how you want to do, education, because that's the whole reason I started this like Innovators Alliance AI community is to help people learn, apply, and share AI knowledge to increase adoption. So glad to hear that you're working on educating the masses. That's it. It starts with education. Who else is new? Hasn't been to one of these events?
This is John Hack. That's really my name. And this is my first time on your uh, webinar series here. I am a business partner with John Muldoon, who will be presenting today. So I won't talk about our current project other than to say I'm the Chief Technology Officer for Interflexion. Just a little bit about my background. I started my career in the Natural Language Processing Research and Development Group at Wang Laboratories in 1982, and have been doing various network business information systems, advanced analytics, and AI for a long time. And I'll just leave it at that. Very interested in the other presenters here today and learning a little bit more about what everyone's doing and trying to accomplish in this dramatic new era for artificial intelligence applications.
Yep, we're all in that same boat. Anyone else? new to the group wants to introduce themselves.
Yeah, hi, Peter. My name is Sean, and this is the first time I've participated in this particular forum. And thanks again to Peter for the kind invitation. And it certainly sounds like I'm amongst some kindred spirits here. And yeah, likewise, as soon as you assume most everyone knows something about AI, I'm amazed at how little knowledge there is out there and have the same interest. I feel like I tell people I'm an evangelist. I see a lot of opportunity for social good. I'm trying to, discourage the fear mongering, the misinformation, so forth and so on. I just think the potential is amazing, but the potential to teach people that this is an opportunity to collaborate. And if I won't digress too much, but I'm becoming more fascinated with how AI, in fact, is creating more jobs rather than replacing people, which seems to be a considerable fear. And that to me is just fantastic. It's amazing. Thanks again, Peter.
Awesome. Thanks, Sean. Anyone else new to the
Yeah, I'll
group?
jump in and say hi. I don't think I've talked with this group. It's kind of a slightly different one than the usual one I'm meeting you at, Pete. But yeah, I'm Dan. I have a Genuine Technologies. I'm an AI consultant for small, medium-sized businesses to, it's kind of Dave put it, they all have to learn, but if they just call me, then they kind of skip that step and I'll just fill in the blank. Kind of like a outsourced or fractional chief AI officer. So I don't think there's a much of a need for someone to have a full-time person just yet for that. I feel like they'll get busy for 3 to 6 months, then they're kind of just management where it's a little bit of a waste for a full-time job and someone that needs that type of experience. Yeah, I totally agree with what Sean said too. It's a huge opportunity for, social good. I've got a lot of nonprofit experience and nonprofit work I do, and one of the things I do in my, spare time is what aspects of that work can an AI fill in and be a 24/7 resource to find resources or get food to people or answer the questions that need to be answered to find people help that they need. And nonprofits are always stressed for staff resources, so yeah,
That's
fun
great.
time we're heading into.
Glad to see you both of you trying to solve real world problems with AI and help people. Sean, by preventing people from slicing their golf swings and feeding the people that need it. I'm joking, of course, Sean.
Actually, I do
All
have a
right.
golf outing coming up, so that swing does
You
help
got a,
feed
you
the
got a
people.
test candidate. Who's next? All right. We'll move past the introductions then and jump right into, again, the whole purpose of this group for people that are new to it, maybe and have been to some of my other events, is the focus on this is around, decentralized voice AI agents. And, we want to make sure that, this technology is used ethically, it's accessible, because there's a lot of opportunity for people, as we said, to use this for good and not positive things, to scam people, to use, you know, um, AI agents in a lot of unethical ways. And so it's important that this technology remains decentralized, so it's accessible and it's not under the monopolistic control of, just big tech. So that's a part of our larger mission here. And now we're going to jump into the presenters. Joey's going to tell us a little about Nova Echo. John's going to talk about Interflexon, and Sean's going to tell you what he's thinking about for these AI golf caddies with Nova work. So, Joey, why don't you jump in and give people a little overview of what they can expect to see in Nova Echo 2.0. Do you want me to stop sharing my screen or?
No, you can keep it. It's no problem.
Okay.
Hello, everybody. I'm Joe. I'm the CEO of Nova Echo, and we have been working on Nova Echo 1.0, 1.5 for a while now, a little over a year and a half. And now we are working on Nova Echo 2.0. We're going to be launching it pretty soon. So I want to just give 2 or 3 quick updates about what's going to be coming with it. and I'll show you guys a little bit of a demo of what we have currently. That way you guys can have a better understanding of what the voice agents can do. So I'll start with that, and then I'll actually go into some of the things we're going to be adding with 2.0.
Hey, this is James from Nova Echo. How can I help you?
Hey, James, can you tell me a little bit more about what Nova Echo can do?
Absolutely. Nova Echo is an advanced AI solution that helps businesses enhance their sales and customer service through highly human-like voice interaction. It can also make over 100,000 calls per hour. What aspect are you most interested in?
Are there any new updates coming?
While I don't have the latest details, Nova Echo continually evolves with enhancements to improve functionality and user experience. You might want to connect with our team for the most current updates. Is there a specific feature?
That's a quick little live demo for you guys, and we use that in all kinds of different industries. So for anyone who hasn't seen that yet, it works in real estate, insurance, home services, e-com, SaaS, with banks, POS systems, all kinds of different things. So with the 2.0, we want to not only make the voice faster and make the interruption handling better and tweak those little pieces of conversation. We also want to add a lot of new features that we haven't seen anywhere else. So one of the big things that we're going to do is we're going to add monitoring, live monitoring. So people will be able to, or companies will be able to actually watch what's happening in every single call while it's happening, so they can see what the latency is looking like. They can see how the AI is responding, when it's pausing, when it's thinking, when it's speaking. And this is going to help a lot with testing, because during test campaigns, you'll be able to see what's working well and what's not during the calls and fix it while the AI is calling. So it's going to be a really big feature that we're looking to add soon, hopefully within the next couple of weeks. And then, excuse me, another thing that we are going to be adding in the future, which opens up a lot of new use cases for all kinds of different companies, is long form conversation. So we're going to make it so that the AI can remember all past calls from that same contact, which means if somebody calls in, months before they call in a second time and they're asking questions, the AI will still be able to remember exactly what that person was asking questions about, and will be able to reference that on the second call. So it's going to open up a whole new level of customer service use cases. It's going to open up other use cases for therapy and other things like that, and personal assistance. And that's going to be very exciting. And the third thing I want to mention is that we're going to be giving more control to all of our users so that they can determine what they want the AI to do on a very granular level. So, for example, on this new UI we're building, we have the ability to choose how many seconds of silence we let the AI and human have in the conversation before it says a message to get them back into the conversation. So let's say there's 5 seconds of silence, then the AI will say whatever you choose. So in this case, I have it actually as 10 seconds. So if there's silence for 10 seconds, the AI will say, "Hello, are you there?" And then if there's another 5 seconds, it will say, "Hello." And if they still don't respond, it will just automatically hang up. That way we're not wasting money. We're not wasting minutes. So that's one example. Another example is being able to control the stability and similarity boost within the voice, and to be able to control the agent creativity and the natural sentence end recognition. These are all just little dials that we're giving control over to our users. That way they can get the agent to act exactly how they want it. And lastly, this is not a feature update, but it is an update to how we're going to be distributing the technology, which I want to mention. We're going to be launching Nova Genesis with Nova Echo 2.0, and that's going to allow people to get into the platform and use it for, we haven't decided exactly the amount of time yet. I pretty much have my heart set on it, but we're still thinking about a couple things. But regardless, people are going to be able to go into the platform, use it for at least a month for completely free. They're not going to have to pay anything, and they're not even going to have to put their credit card in. So they can just go in, they can use it, and if they don't like it, they can just leave. And if they want to stay, then they can come to us and talk to us about a subscription. But we want people to be able to just go in and start calling and start testing and monitoring calls and using minutes and making sure that it's going to work for their business. And I think that the more people that get to demo this technology, the faster it's going to grow, regardless of if we have their credit cards or not, because it's just so powerful. And every time I've demoed it for somebody, especially in person, they typically get blown away. So I'm excited to be able to do that at scale. And yeah, those are the 2.0 updates. If you have any questions, feel free to throw them at me about what we're going to be adding in the future or what we have now or anything else.
Yeah, let's take a few minutes and take some questions from the peanut gallery. What do you guys think? Any thoughts or questions for Joey?
What kind of financial model do you have with this? I mean, it's fresh in the market here. Obviously the AI services that you buy, do cost real, there's hard dollars to them. So how do you equate that into how, what you pass on to your customers?
Yeah, so we charge a setup fee if we're setting the agents up. We have experts that do all the prompt engineering and automations and everything. So if somebody opts for that, we charge for it. Then at a base level, we charge a monthly subscription for our support and access to the platform and maintenance. And then we charge per minute. So our per minute cost at the moment is 15 cents per minute of talk time outbound and 20 cents inbound. So you can figure 1,000 calls with a 10% pickup rate that lasts for an average of 1 minute would be $15.
Yeah, so
Right.
this is a fraction of what it would cost you for a human to do that same cold outreach that they typically get burnt out on, and you have the high turnover and training and retraining cost on. So it's super, super scalable, always available, always on
Yeah.
time. And then the other business model is also then the option for people to get involved in the Nova Echo affiliate program. We've grown to over 55 affiliates at this point, where you can earn a commission. As we said, this technology is new, so this is an opportunity for you to make introductions and earn revenue, recurring revenue for making introductions. And there's also opportunities to set up your own branded agency, and where you can now offer this to anyone you're working with that's interested in using Nova Echo under your own white labeled name, and then you get the option and to charge what you want. You could do it performance based, you could do it by the minute, you could do subscription based. So then going to be up to you. Anything you want to add to that, Joey?
No, no, you said it. We have a lot of agencies that will use this and then resell it to the clients that they already have. Works well.
Yeah. So when a customer onboards with you, how long does it take you to train the AI?
So our process is we start with a kickoff call. So we'll learn everything about their business and exactly what kind of agent or agents they want. And then within 48 hours, we have a first draft ready. Agent's 80% done. It's been minimally tested. They get to test it and give us feedback. That way we can use that to further improve the agent. And then within a week from the kickoff call, it's fully complete. And then we take another week for live testing. So we'll run live campaigns, we'll listen back to call recordings, make more improvements. So, within 2 days, we have the agent ready to call, but within 2 weeks, it's fully done.
Pretty amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah. Think of what it costs to train and onboard a new employee, and the type of consistency also you get with employees.
Yeah.
The AI agents don't have bad days.
No.
I was actually curious, Joey, one thing you're going to learn from my call, and I'm thrilled at the memory capabilities, like knowing the customer, right? Which is, to my mind, that learning aspect is sort of the holy grail of AI. I was just curious, has it been resource intensive for you guys on a technical side? And I'm aware this question may be out of scope of the call here, but I was really curious, what challenges you guys have faced in storing and enabling your system to memorize all these details about a customer, like as a customer called before, what did they complain? Did they praise? You know, that kind of, has that been a big challenge for you guys? Is that eating up more of your resources than any other aspect of your system?
That's a big project, and we're still working on that. And yeah, that's definitely one of the harder things that we're building. But I would say the hardest and most resource intensive part was just getting the base level of this platform done, because we had to map out every part of a human conversation to make it realistic. And that is a lot more complex than it sounds, because we don't even realize that when we're talking, we have no idea what
Yeah.
we're actually doing. But there's so many little parts to it. And I would say that was the hardest and longest part. But yeah, I mean, building a model that's going to remember all previous conversations is no easy task as well.
Thanks.
Okay. So we'll leave some time for questions at the end, but I want to move on to the next presenter. And John, why don't you take it away? You want me to stop sharing so you can take the screen? I've enabled screen sharing if you want to share your screen, John. And you could take yourself off mute.
We need to teach AI to automatically take us off mute when it sees our lips start talking.
There's an idea for an AI agent.
There you go.
That could go wrong very easily, though.
That is true.
Don't make your life too convenient.
So the
Talking about
agent,
your boss in the middle of the meeting.
the agent says, "Oh God, there he goes again." Click.
All right.
I'm just saying,
Able
you
to
could
see
be
my screen
talking
here?
to somebody
Yep,
you want
go
to.
ahead, John.
Yeah. Okay. Well, before I show you the demo, I want to give you a little background here. As alluded to by Dave, John Hack and I, we entered the AI world. Well, he was in it for a long, long time, but over 6 years ago, we were really one of the pioneers coming out in terms of addressing, conversational AI and its use in the workplace. Before before we got started, a lot of that was in the uncanny valley. And given, Mr. Hack's expertise, we were able to, his part of his other background, which he didn't mention, is, he's an expert in performance management software. So we were able to look at this market from an experience we had working with a training firm, and we looked at the corporate training market. And we saw, there's really been no new innovation in this space since the computer-based training in the mid 90s. And everyone was using their phones for videos and all the sharing and all the interactivity. And we took a hard look at that and started crafting a platform. We began with a mobile app to put conversational role play into play. So we looked at the many needs because of the communication breakdowns in the workplace are all over the place. And we originally got started and we focused on leadership training and first time managers. Everyone hears a story about someone very talented. It could be a coder or another talented person, and they think they're going to put you in a managerial role, and they receive no training, and they don't really know how to communicate effectively with their own workforce once from a managerial level. So that's kind of got our wheels turning on this. And we started looking at, where really the extended use cases are in this. And, one of our principal focuses is on sales coaching. We do, one of the reasons that's there is because sales people, they already have scripts and they do role play. So this becomes like a batting cage for them. You can load it up very quickly. You can have people practice in a safe environment, get immediate feedback, guided response to improving their response, and to practice to proficiency. And it can be done quick, and it's a really effective way to bring SBRs and BDRs up to speed quickly, shorten the time in which they're can have performance-like conversations with the potential customers. This is, as I said, I believe we were one of the first. We're behind the science of practice, right? Everyone who has kids here, and if they've played an instrument, played a sport, took dance lessons, well, did they had to practice, right? And when they practiced, they got better, right? Well, this is no different for conversations, right? We feel that being able to practice very structured conversations around specific outcomes is where we wanted to bring this solution to. The other side was to be able to generate a number of these what we call scenarios or interactions, to be able to create them very quickly and effectively. So you can turn these experiences out to your workforce, in real time almost. We've been fortunate to be recognized in a few award categories, and also in the training industry as one of the top AI companies on the watch list, right under the big guys. So we're excited about some of our growth. Just a real quick thing on what makes us different. Interflection analyzes the meaning of what you say. As I mentioned, easy to create custom content. As we will talk about, the joys of AI is unlimited scale. And here, this is really, one of our distinguishing is real-time personalized feedback, because you are configuring these interactions. So it gives you a lot here. As you'll see in one of the examples and how the app works, you practice workplace conversations, whether it's a sales call, or customer servicing, or a manager practicing to give them, performance reviews. I'll give you, it analyzes what you say and delivers you personalized feedback. And we also put metrics to tracking the acquisition of your interpersonal and your conversational skills. And, we were one of the first to really measure soft skills and put metrics around that. This is based on a large language model construction. We use it a little bit differently. This is not Gen AI. This is, we use the large language models in a conversational analysis framework. So it's really looking to, capture the essence and the perspective of the conversations. So your dialogue, the feedback that you get is really pointed to improving that conversation. Once I said, we measured all this stuff here, and I'm going to step out of that, and I'll get us over here to one of our examples here. This is a video demonstrating the techniques that are used in sales coaching. And I'm going to kick it off. It runs about 4 minutes. I'll tell you, basically how this kind of works. And I'll kick it off from here.
Here's a brief overview of how sales coaching works using Interflection's AI-powered role play. Interflection is a natural language processing app that coaches salespeople. It allows sales professionals to have conversations with virtual prospects and customers in their natural voice in a Zoom-like environment. The app analyzes the content of what they say to determine whether they are effective and appropriate. Have they asked the right question? Did they take the right point of view? And have they communicated the right ideas? The app then provides feedback on their interaction, indicating what they did well and where they can improve. Let's see the app in action. We're joining a sales conversation between someone looking to upgrade their manufacturing facility and an industrial pump sales agent. In this interaction, the customer has been convinced that the pumps are high quality, but they're concerned about price. The sales agent should acknowledge the objection, highlight the value proposition, and ask if there might be a way to address the issue. We're going to practice 3 times.
I know your pumps are high quality, but they're also expensive. I just can't afford to refit my entire operation with new pump stall pumps.
Our sales agent now has to respond.
Yes, you are right. Our pumps are more expensive, and that can represent some upfront costs. But we believe our quality, reliability, and lower total cost of ownership will more than make up for the expense.
Interflection's AI analyzes what was said. The score represents the overall ability to demonstrate this skill. Doing okay, but not great. Ideally, the sales agent would reflect the buyer's concern, reiterate the value proposition, and ask if financing would make a difference. Notice that our sales agent didn't ask the question. Time to try again.
Yes, you're right. Our pumps are more expensive, and that can represent some upfront costs. If we can make this affordable with a financing plan, do you have any other concerns?
This time, the agent forgot to articulate the value proposition. The agent can choose to watch what they looked and sounded like, which unlocks the ideal professional response.
You're right. Our pumps are more expensive, and that can represent some upfront costs. We believe our quality, reliability, and lower total cost of ownership more than make up for the expense. If we can make this affordable with a financing plan, do you have any other concerns?
Now it's time for one last try.
Yes, you're right. Our pumps are more expensive, but we believe that quality, reliability, and lower total cost of ownership justify the upfront expense. Would you like for me to quote the project with a financing plan that reduces the annual expense?
Our sales agent has mastered the pitch. Note that it wasn't a matter of repeating the expert word for word. Sales agents can use their own phrasing to convey the ideas while staying on brand with relevant talking points. That's how Interflection coaches sales agents. Let's take a look at a couple more benefits. The sales agent can review skill acquisition by going to the My Skills screen. Notice that the level of mastery for each sales skill is visible. There's also a list of scenes to practice to improve that skill or keep it sharp. Just one last feature before we wrap up. Every previous practice session for every scene is available for review. Here's a list of every practice session, including scoring, feedback, video, and transcript. Since it's AI-driven, your entire sales organization can get personalized coaching anytime, anywhere. That's how Interflection uses AI-powered role play to coach sales professionals. Here's a brief.
That was awesome, John. I don't know if other people see the irony of like we're relying now on robots and AI to teach us interpersonal skills, but
Oh, and not only that, we, since, companies like Synthesia have come a long way, we're able to grab the avatars and load them in, right, almost effortlessly. And so it gives you, it allows you to create a lot of diversity in terms of the people that you want to interact with.
cool. So, anything else you wanted to say, John, or do you want to open it up for questions?
Yeah, no, let's, I'd love to hear questions.
Yeah. So you said that started in 2021. Whereas like kind of the I'm interested to hear what that's been the timeline of the big developments since 21 till today. Like, did you always have those AI avatars, the voice, AI voice and all that, or has that kind of developed over time?
So this is John Hack. We got started in 2019.
19, okay.
And the technology, while there are large language models underneath, we don't use them in a generative capacity. We use them in an analytic way to and combined with some semantics about what people should be talking about, say, in that sales call, to provide a highly consistent set of responses. So we have a customer that is trying to get a nationwide group of salespeople to all talk about their offerings in the same way. in their own words, but to cover the main points in a brand consistent way. So that was really the foundational idea behind it. Generative AI came along after we were already in market. So yes, we recognized early on that conversational AI was going to advance rapidly, starting in the late teens. And we've been working to keep up with all of the exciting advances that have been coming along since then, including the avatars, which when we first looked at them in like 2020, they were still in the uncanny valley and people weren't reacting well to them. But we now have customers who are already using them in their training. And so we can use characters that they're using in their training as well in our app so that there's a really consistent experience for the learners. And right now we're looking at how can we use generative AI to assist in both creating company specific content. How do you sell, pumps as opposed to automobiles or consulting services or whatever it might be, but also to provide an additional layer of retrospective analysis on the conversation that people are having. So it's an interesting challenge to try to keep up with the technology while not, cutting yourself on the bleeding edge.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of get what you're saying. Yeah.
We have we've just launched in the market earlier this year, a full web version now. So this really can go anywhere. One of our challenges was to get this have the ability to integrate with learning management systems, and we have that in place now. And we were probably the first, at least that we know of, to get our API integrated with VR programming. So it's kind of interesting that you're in this immersive space and now you're being coached in your conversation as well. So it really brings another level of interactivity in a highly immersive solution as it is. So just some of the fun stuff.
And John showed you an example of sales here, but there's so many other use cases around interactive role play based training. I was telling John yesterday how my sister told me that my niece, her daughter, who's in taking her finals as a senior nursing student, and they hire actors to play patients and doctors, and she has to go through role play based training. Like this could cut the cost and scale that availability tremendously, and provide that instant feedback and consistent feedback that I'm sure is isn't as fine tuned when it's humans providing the feedback.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right, Peter. Humans are much more sharp and knowledgeable about effective communication, but it's very hard to scale that to an entire organization where you could spend hours with a coach. So I like to think of it as a batting cage where you work on the fundamentals, your stance, your grip, your swing, so that when you're actually in the game, you can focus on those more challenging issues. We are talking to a nursing school right now. We also work with other universities and management schools, like organizational ethics, and immersing students in organizational, what does an ethical dilemma look like and how do you handle it in the workplace, or just plain, leadership and management. How do you give a performance review? How do you give feedback? Those kinds of things.
Yeah.
There are other use cases. I don't want to enumerate them all. I know we've got another presentation coming.
One quick one though. We got called in on a not an emergency, but a short timeline thing, and de-escalation training. And it's with a major transit organization that we're currently doing here. So it's a whole new world open to us as well.
Yeah, conflict resolution, de-escalation, those kinds of high stress situations, and putting people into those situations and seeing how they react, I'm sure is you know, like it's something that requires training, as you said, so it just becomes natural, and so you don't overreact and end up escalating a situation.
Right.
Can I ask a quick question?
Of course.
And this is kind of for Joey too. I'm curious as to what your acceptance rates are from your customers are finding with the people that are on the usage end. So are there people that are like, oh, no way, I'm not talking to a robot. I'm done with this. Or are you getting good results overall?
It's a mix. You're absolutely right. There are people who, well, frankly, there are people who don't like to do training at all. And I'm sure any of us who've worked in a corporate environment understand that.
99% of people don't want to do storyline or rise,
Right?
course.
So that's absolutely the case. And we have others who are enthusiastic about what they learn from the app. So, and I think this is probably true for almost any kind of training where you have this spectrum of enthusiastic learners to, through, reluctant learners to antagonistic ones. And I don't think AI actually makes that worse. In some ways, we've heard that, for example, we do not uh, put the videos on the server at all at any point. So people should feel comfortable practicing and knowing they're not going to be, they don't have to have their hair done right and all that sort of thing, because we want people to have trust that they're
Yeah,
being
that's actually a big deal. I love hearing that.
Yeah.
It is, and people want to feel like they're being judged evenly, like everyone else. So, we have that kind of consistency and that kind of privacy in the practice that has actually helped in some ways uh, overcome some of the discomfort that people have doing live role play where their manager or peers might be in the room and the fear of making a mistake is overwhelming their desire to master the material.
Yep. So we want to keep things going, but Joey, did you have a quick answer to that too? Of what have you seen in terms of people's reaction to talking to AI?
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly a different use case because most people that talk to RAI, they're just getting a call, so they don't know it's AI beforehand. So obviously, less of them are gonna realize that it's AI. But I would say that around 95% of people don't even realize that that's an AI system when they get called by it. If they're calling inbound, I'd say a slightly higher percentage of people realize, and if they're getting a call, it's maybe even lower than that. But the people that realize it's an AI seem to not want to talk to it as much as people who don't think it's an AI.
Okay.
That's very clear. But most people don't think it is. So
Interesting.
that's what I've seen.
Okay. So thank you, John and John. And we're going to jump into Sean's discussion on Nova work.
You're on mute, Sean.
See there, one of you guys, we got to build this thing. So that's our project.
Or either that, get better at lip reading.
Well, there's an AI for that too, I'm sure.
I'm sure.
Peter, I'd be grateful if I could share my screen.
Yep, go ahead.
I'll try not to bore anyone to death, but Peter was gracious enough to include me on. Now, believe it or not, I've used this before. Here we go. Let's go with that. Can you guys see a big hairy white screen that's very generic? Okay, good.
Okay.
I'm just going to go right to it. I want to preface all of this by saying NovaWork, my company, NovaWork AI, we don't see ourselves as a golf company. We don't see ourselves as a golf product company. What we're more interested in is solving some technical AI problems that I think can translate into some amazing use cases. That being said, golf is a very delicious situation for trying ideas, which is we're seeing over and over. So, part of going along the spirit of what we've already talked about, I mean, it's incredible how far we've come with voice technology just in 3 months, much less 6 months, much less a year. I mean, my God, my real taste of AI started 7 years ago, and it's incomprehensible where we are. I mean, we can talk to our phone, our car, our refrigerator. Um, I was keen on building a robot that could talk, and the deeper I got into this, which is you'll probably infer from some of my earlier questions. Voice lets us speak to machines, but what I came to realize is memory is what lets us understand them. So I've kind of shifted from a focus on voice, which is incredibly important. And maybe I should just say it here and leave it. I'm on the side of the debate that what's the next interface, or in fact, what's the proper interface for AI? And I'm in the camp that's squarely in its voice. Voice is the interface of AI, not a smartphone, not a gadget. Voice is what's gonna get us there. But that's another conversation. But just realizing that memory is what's going to get us to real authentic voice. And I learned this the hard way, trying to build the caddy that could talk, that could listen, that could learn from everybody around. The voice was the easiest part. And it's like Joey validated for me, the hard part's memory. Oh, I tried to move my screen. You should see, funny enough, what is it, Sarah of OpenAI thinks this is a cannon, and I'm having a tough time finding the proper prompt to go, no, this is a golf caddy, but that's another problem. So I'm building Nelson, an AI-powered robotic caddy. It's a kind of golf partner that doesn't just carry your clubs, but walks with you. It listens. It learns how you play. The goal isn't just to deliver stats, it's to become an emotionally intelligent companion. And for that, as I said, voice is the interface, but memory is the operating system. And maybe I should go further. It's not just memory that I'm fascinated with, it's memory is the actual operating system, is what I'm becoming more and more fascinated with. Now, today's tools, voice tools, are mostly, in my opinion only, voice tools are mostly transactional. You ask something, you get something back. But the robot, Nelson, needs context. And to me, this is, to my mind, where AI is going. This is the holy grail. I want that robot to know, when was the last time you took a shot on this hole? And I think some of you have alluded to that kind of memory in earlier mentions of this call. The robot's going to know how did your mood shift after you missed the putt? Whether you like encouragement or silence under pressure. I like when I'm telling people about this, the joke, oh, for God's sake, I can just hear the robot, for God's sake, don't mention the 5-wood in the straight. This guy will freak completely out. Whereas another player might go, wow, 5-wood, this is perfect, that kind of thing. But the robot knows you. That's to me, the goal. Maybe a composite holy grail, if you will. Let's see. Yeah, so it's all about continuity. That kind of continuity requires agentic memory, a layered structure of semantic, episodic, and procedural memory. Without that, and again, my opinion, voice, it's just noise. If you don't have that composition of semantic memory, episodic memory, and procedural memory. But again, as I was curious in my question to Joey, building the memory, to my mind, at least for me, that's where the real challenge is. And I find it quite exciting. The irony is memory may be the most human part of an AI system. As we all know, as builders here, I'm sure all of you understand clearly, it's also the least scalable. Running long-term memory models on edge devices like a robot means facing real trade-offs like compute constraints, power limits, latency, sheer physical memory availability. So I'm watching, and I'm happy to provide research papers if anyone wants to bore themselves. They're great to put you to sleep. But there's a fascinating paper some UC Berkeley PhDs put out on MEM GPT and other LLM operating systems. They're attempting to partition and recall relevant memory efficiently, offload, and this is where things get tricky and controversial. And I'm also fascinated, to be able to handle this kind of memory, there's a trade-off. There's offloading long-term storage intelligently without overloading the ability to compute. And there's questions about, well, how do you decide what's relevant memory and what's not? That's we could talk for hours about that. But that doesn't matter in an MVP. Yeah. So some of what I'm playing around with, and this tension of memory is I think about it constantly. Frank is on this call, Frank Yu, and his partner, George Biamonte Marshwalden. We had a great conversation one time, and we were talking about, does a janitor really need to understand nuclear physics? And that's got a lot of implications, and especially, in terms of resources for memory, and we all know how big the memory issues of having a large language model local, much less a small language model, so forth and so on. The system can only store so much fast knowledge, but the question is, should it? And that's a question I don't think a lot of people are asking. Should we, just because we're able to build these large language models, do we really need all that knowledge for any given system? And I'd venture a guess that John and some of the guys have bumped across that question as well. So with that, oh yeah, and I've already alluded to this, personalized coaching, which we've all kind of touched on a little bit here. The voice becomes powered by agentic memory, becomes a true companion in your game. To me, that's part of the holy grail. Joey was alluding to 95% of people can't tell that a phone call might be an AI. That's our goal. We want to make sure that a player forgets that they're even talking to a robot. So with that, in my mind, voice interfaces only reach their full potential when they're backed by memory systems that are adaptive, agentic, and lean. The future isn't in giving machines more data. It's in helping them learn what to do with less. So if you're working in wearables, robotics, or LLM orchestration, I'd love to talk to you, because the goal isn't just to build a smarter machine. It's to build one that feels like it gets you. That's the frontier. That's where memory meets meaning. Thanks, everybody. And
Cool. Thank you, Sean. I think you're touching upon a key aspect of taking these LLMs to the next level is really about personalization. And for personalization, it needs to know all about you.
That's right.
On a very deep level. So how does it get that information? How does it decide what's relevant and not relevant? I don't know. Maybe I talked about we're not going to have time to really get into a big group discussion about it, but hey, maybe there's an opportunity for, you and Joey's tech team to discuss, hey, how are you addressing these memory issues? Maybe there's something that can be built in conjunction and licensed and leveraged across multiple teams here.
I think so, frankly. I loved what I heard so far. It got me excited, listening to the group. I mean, I had a conversation yesterday with a doctor in Germany, and one of their frustrations, now they have very strict data privacy laws and data safety laws. But having, imagine a doctor being able to go, okay, I've looked and I've seen these pictures of some nodes on a lung, click a button, and here's the entire profile of the patient. The patient's been to this doctor. And these seem kind of obvious, but I'm amazed how little exploration there is. And I suspect that's because of the cost of memory.
And then in that case, it's also the healthcare system, everything being disjointed.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So
and how patient records are tracked by the individual doctor, and they're not really, they should be owned by the person. And I think that sort of goes back to this, that the person that owns this data should really be the individual, not the person who's building the LLM system or the big tech company.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
they should own and control their own data and decide what's, gets shared and stuff. But Yonks, you've got your hand up. Jason.
Yeah, so some real easy questions that I'm sure is on everybody else's mind. Sean, how much is this going to cost and when is it going to be ready?
Well, my mission, I get really frustrated. I've had partners, I've talked to other businesses, and immediately start assigning prices without even knowing what the system is, right? And my mission is to make this technology affordable. And I think it can be. But I don't have an immediate question because we're still proving concepts. I joke, the robotics people don't like this when I say, look, a robot's nothing. It's the brain. It's, the robot's able to carry the brain around. I don't care about the robot. And I don't mean that, but well, I kind of do. But the brain is what's about. I don't have an answer yet for that question. One of my main goals in life is to make this technology affordable.
Okay. So you could do different business models around this. You could, have people buy them outright. You can have people finance them and own them. You could have it that the golf courses own and rent these out. So there's different business models you could consider in this.
Absolutely.
one of the things I found interesting on all three presentations actually is this notion that the LLM is in the service of generating speech, but that you have memory, you have semantic content that is maintained separately from the LLM or is used to augment the LLM. And I think those kinds of hybrid models are going to become more common. And just relying on the,
They're going to have to.
Right, just relying on the model, which has no understanding of the world,
Absolutely,
is not enough. And robotics in particular, you
nailed
have
it.
to have some kind of model of the world to be a
That's right.
successful robot.
The transformer, the attention models, all that only got us part of the way there.
Yep.
And I don't think the world's really gotten hip to that yet. That as cool as this technology is, generative AI is amazing, right? But man, it doesn't get us near where we need to go.
And it's refreshing to hear that.
Yeah, I sincerely believe, as sure as I'm sitting here, that's everybody that's on this call right now, that's our mission.
Yeah. Yeah. How do you do this personalized so people are really using their data, not what's publicly available on the internet?
And see, what you're alluding to, Peter, is modularity. Because if a person owns their data, it's modular. You can plug that into, theoretically, you could plug that into any type of system. That is kind of where I would like to see a lot of this going.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and there are some projects with the Decentralized AI Alliance, like Delhi's iCubes, that's looking to decouple agents from data so that different agents can do different things with the same data. This is going to use your data to figure out, what your best travel plans are. This is another agent that's best for, your investment portfolio.
To me, that's the best model, because if the agents don't know the data, their job is to train on it. And within a couple of days, they've mastered whatever, domain they need to be, and they're not dependent on a particular data set or whatever. I think that's fascinating stuff.
So this was a great conversation. I appreciate you guys for joining us. Hope you can make it to future ones, and we'll continue this conversation and want to have a deeper talk about how we can collaborate on solving some of these common problems that sounds like we're all facing with trying to deliver solutions to different markets. But I see some underlying commonality. So great conversation. Again, appreciate everyone. I got to jump. So it's after 2. Thanks again. We'll see you at the next one.
Yeah.
Thanks, Peter.
Thank you, Peter, for
Thank you.
hosting.
Bye.
and the
Bye, all.
Innovation
Good.
Alliance. Nice to meet everyone.
Thanks.